It's about time you level up your sawing from this to this. Now, how do you know if you need to turn up your saw? Well, if you got slow no cutting off an angle, not revving up, while smoking and burning, then you have got yourself a problem there, friend. If you are milling and it suddenly stops moving, if you ain't throwing lots of sawdust, or if you are making slow or no progress in rocking the saw, then you need a bar dressing.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Chaos Dubs. It's the Alberta Mountain Pirates, and we are talking about keeping your chainsaw in tune and working properly today. One of the things we're going to address, or the main thing we're going to address today in this video, is called dressing your bar. So you'll notice when you're using your saw, you may start getting some weird cuts. You may start getting cuts that are kind of on an angle, and you may just start getting rough cuts or poor performance out of your saw. And part of the reason is because right on the edge here, you'll start to develop a burr, and if you go down your bar, you can feel it. It's almost like a knife's edge, sort of. And if you're not careful, you might even cut yourself. Some parts of the bar may be worse than others. For example, this edge seems a lot worse, and that all depends which side of the bar you're using the most. Obviously, as the chain runs, it's going to cause some wear, which is definitely going to do some damage. But the good news is it is repairable, and you can keep your bars lasting a long time using this method. You'll notice here, hopefully you can see that, there's like chipping and chunking out of the middle of the bar there. And then the edge really is not going to be easy to see, but there's like a fine little knife edge right on there. And so we're going to remove that today. There's two ways to do this. You can use a file.
I like the file more.
A file works fine, but it's a little bit more effort. What I recommend is you pick yourself up one of these guys. It's called a Speedy Sharp. For the folks who are in Canada, these are 15 bucks roughly at Canadian Tire. In the US, you should be able to find them at your favorite hardware store. If you can't, you should be able to find them on Amazon, no problem. What it is a carbide little blade there. I gotta get it to focus again. A little carbide blade, essentially, that's much harder than steel, and you're able to carve away metal. I sharpen my axes with this, knives, and in this case, we're gonna tune up our chainsaw bar with this fancy little tool. Let's get right to it. Feeling around, finding what edge I want to start on. We're gonna start here. So I'm carving along the flat side here to take down the burr on the outside of the bar. You see it's pretty rough right there. There's a major burr right on the corner there. We'll address that. That's definitely not doing us any favors. Now as you run this way, you're going to develop a burr on the top of the bar, on the running surface of the bar. So just bring down the entire outer edge first with the Speedy Sharp. You should feel a burr on the top edge, but no longer on the outside edge. You can run it kind of along the top. You'll get a nice smooth surface. You can feel the burr biting. What I like to do is kind of turn the bar towards the flat face, and that'll give you a nice rounded corner on there. Gotta be careful though, this thing will take too much material if you're not careful. And there's a great example of how sharp this bar can be. I just nicked my finger a little bit. That outside edge is like a little razor blade if you rub against it. Just gonna flip it and work on the same half of the bar. Seems like it's a bit rough around here. There's some major burrs there we're going to take down. But another major burr right there. Probably a little hard to see on the camera, but you can hear it hooking up there. If you've ever whittled wood, whittled a stick, this is kind of what it feels like. Now that we got the first side smoothed out here and you have no outer burr, we're gonna work on the inside here, which is a little bit trickier, but it's not too difficult. So you can get a view of that there again. You can see that on the inside it's quite chewed up. There's definitely some damage. And all that is going to severely affect your cut. The way we're gonna do that, and as you'll notice here on a side note, there is no damage whatsoever to the Speedy Sharp. It is like brand new, even though we're essentially sharpening hard steel. But essentially the trick here is you want to get the Speedy Sharp. Let's see if I can get right up close, right in there just like that. So you got one corner of the inner side of the bar, of the guide there, on the flat tip surface of the Speedy Sharp there. And then just make a couple of passes all the way down the bar. First pass may be a little rough, not surprising. You'll see the second pass smoothed out quite a bit there. We're going to do at least one more. Heard some roughness in there. We're going to do another one yet. That felt better, and we're going to do one more. That's much smoother. Now we're going to do the other side. And you can feel on the inside of your guide there that there should be no lip whatsoever. There should be no burr, there should be no roughness. All the way down. And then once you're happy with that, flip it over. Feel for the sharp edge that you want to start with and start all over again. And that's how a pro sawyer in Alberta dresses a chainsaw bar in the field. Catch you in the next one.